go. This is JDS Sport Talks, and before I get into anything else, I want to continue what I only really touched on yesterday's episode. The Canadian guy going off at Kyrgios. Pretty much as I said last time, what happened is the ATP and the WTA, I think, yes, are planning on merging. It was, where did it start from again? It was Roger Federer who, this is in the article's words, obviously article as always will be in the description, was in the description of the last video as well. It's word for word, Roger Federer took to social media last month, calling a merger between the ATP and the WTA bodies, which was met with support from the likes of Rafa Nadal, Garbine Muguruza, and Simona Halep. They're all big players who are pushing it. I'm guessing so is this Vasek Pospisil, who's a decent player himself, but I don't understand, as pretty much what this Canadian guy says. If you read further into the thing, which you can do yourself, I will go into it a little bit. So he's taken to Twitter, and I think it might have been a response, or maybe it was just a plain old tweet. I can't quite tell. I don't use Twitter, so I don't know how it works, whether it was a response or not. I'm assuming, considering it says replies beneath it, that would mean that it was not a response to Federer's. But he much just went on Twitter and said we shouldn't merge. That was his statement, and has not been met by any kind of support, really. And I don't get where he's coming from when he says he doesn't want to merge. Like, why not? What? It's not gonna disbenefit you. Is that a word? Disbenefit? Anyway, it's not gonna affect you really in any major way. If anything, as they say later on in the thing, because I've read this video because I planned to use this yesterday, I never really properly used it. As they said yesterday, where does it say it? It was someone in the WTA who was saying this isn't that he was trying to back why they would do it. I think it was the head guy, actually, the CEO or the owner or something, whatever it's considered. The last thing on the article says, this is quoting the, who is it? It's the chief, WA chief, so WTA chief, whatever that means. What's the chief mean? His name's Steve Simon. He says it makes all the sense in the world. I'm not afraid of the full merger. People must be saying he's afraid of doing it. Don't know why they would say that. I have never been. Later on he says this isn't about trying to save the WTA. People must be claiming that they are in some kind of financial problem because of Corona, but I don't really know about that. I haven't looked into that. You can look into that yourself. I probably should have before doing this video. So it says I would certainly be the first to support it, because I think then you truly have business and strategic principles aligned between the ATP and the WTA, which I completely agree with. I don't see why they weren't already combined as one thing. Why are they separated? Maybe it was some sort of business thing they did. I don't know where their concept of being separated came from when they first created the women's side of the game. But I'm going to move on to the next thing now. Something else I actually meant to do yesterday again. A story I found a while back about Jordan Lewis and Jared Ruffhead cheating a system they call the fold test or something at the start of every year. Basically, what happens in the fold test is, I don't actually know exactly, but they take they do something, take a measurement. I'm trying to remember off history because I can't find the actual website now. I found it a few days ago, I can't find it now. The Golden Years podcast, here it is. Okay. So pretty much what they did is Jared Ruffhead and Jordan Lewis would go in, do the test. They'd always pick two players, they'd go in, and the sports scientist woman, or they said it was a woman in theirs, sometimes it would be male, doesn't really matter. They would then do the test, tell the other player the result, they would write down the result, and they would move on. Apparently, it's a pretty simple way of cheating it, really. They literally just wrote down what people wanted to hear. They wrote down not what their actual result was from the, is it a fold test? They wrote down skin fold system, it's called. They says here for years they cheated the skin fold system at Hawthorn, and apparently they continue to do it when they moved beyond. They say that later in the thing again, so it'll be in the description as always. the URL to this, it'll be not just random URLs, it will be like titled like Jared Ruffhead, Jordan Lewis cheating, whatever, and they'll have a link next to it. So yeah, then they would then put out what they want and then just go about their day. So basically what the skin fold system thing is, I believe it's start of every season, maybe it's throughout the season as well. What they do is they do this skin fold test to see if the player's been keeping his body in the correct shape, into a good enough shape to they believe should play. And if they haven't, then it's not good for the player. A good example is Jeremy McGovern back in what season? I'm not sure if you can. Let me take my camera up. Can you see this there? That year, which is, let me see what year that is. 2011, somewhere around that time. Jeremy McGovern. Pretty much, the Eagles told him, if you're serious, get your body in shape, come back, because you're not playing for us at the moment the way you are. That's pretty much what they told him, because he did not, I don't know if it's the same test they did in the Eagles at the time, but he did not come up to standard. He wasn't fit enough, he wasn't at a playing standard. I'm going to move on from that to a first time we've ever seen a racing based thing on this channel. I count as a sport, so it should be in here. Pretty much it's about, well, the title, there's two things here, two articles. The title is why a massive Renault deal will cost Ricciardo. I don't know where this is, like how it's going to cost him. When you read the actual article, it seems to almost be saying that it's going to help him. So pretty much there's a bit of movement around in who's where. It's pretty much between three people: Daniel Ricciardo, Sebastian Vettel, and Carlos Sainz. They also mention later on Fernando Alonso, who's apparently leaving. It looks like he might be leaving Ferrari. But the original idea, I believe, was that Vettel would be leaving Ferrari and Ricciardo would be replacing him. But that has been ruled out apparently by Ferrari, that will not happen. The thought by a motorsport guy, is a reporter from Italy's motorsport.com, claims that he believes the Spanish guy Carlos Sainz, I don't know what his name is, he believes that he will be, when they announce, Ferrari apparently announcing in the next few days, he believes that he will be the person to take over from Vettel. And I don't know how really you can read through this. I read through this earlier, I've forgotten really what it's properly about. Not about, how it properly works. But somehow there's a spot open at McLaren, which he believes that's where Ricciardo will end up. And then Vettel will go to, I think it was, where was it? He would go to the Renault or something. But the amount these guys get paid is ridiculous. Like, for example, Lewis Hamilton, who's, in my opinion, he's clearly, I mean, you look at the stats, he's clearly the best driver in a long time in the sport. He gets 73.9 million a year. 73. Vettel gets 56. And Ricciardo, with his current thing with Renault, he gets 49 million a year. And this is Australian dollars. This isn't euros or anything. This is Australian dollars. This has been converted to Australian dollars. That's crazy how they get paid that much. If you want to properly read into that, if you really care about F1, then there are two articles. I'll be linked description. It's quite interesting actually. I was reading it earlier today in school. It's quite interesting. We're going to move on here to which one? Let's start with the Conor McGregor one. Why not? Apparently he's threatened Khabib again, and another guy called, I'm going to struggle with this name, Gaethje, Gaethje. I don't have a clue how you say it. I haven't really looked into this one, to be honest. I probably shouldn't even put it in the video, but I'm going to anyway. There's a rant on Twitter, apparently. They say an explosive rant on Twitter, but they're just trying to get the story, so trying to draw you into the article. Yeah, so apparently he started ranting on Twitter about them. What did he say though? I'll come back and see once I figure out what he says. Because basically what he said, one of the things was, the fans make the sport, watching the other night, I was against going in without them. So I'm guessing that means he doesn't like the fact that they're fighting without their crowd. And he basically, what's he say? He says, "But it will be my fucking pleasure to display the power I possess with zero background noise for them." Pretty much, he's gonna enjoy beating the shit out of them and they can hear it. It's me and Justin. Next, Khabib is the biggest bottle fighter in the game. Guarantee it. I don't know why I'm reading like I'm two. There's a lot more he says here. I'm not going to go through all of it because this video is going to get really long if I do. So if you want to check that out, as again, description, it will be there. We'll move on to the next thing, which is about NRL players, I believe. Is it NRL? NRL players, yes. Some of them are pretty much, they're going to get their pay cut because they refuse, actually not cut. It says here, they're going to freeze their pay. So they're going to get no money until they do get these injections. They're not allowed to play without the injections. So some of the players are apparently anti-vax for whatever reason. I don't know why you'd be anti-vax. There's nothing wrong with them. Wrong with getting vaccinations. I don't get why they wouldn't get, but they're going to get their pay frozen. Apparently some guy, Freddy, who the hell was Freddy? I don't know who Freddy is. Again, haven't read into this too much. Don't want to go on too much about it because I haven't read into it. If you want to know more, description. As everything I talk about, it's in the description. Okay, so basically what this guy said is he said he respects the decision, but he thinks it's crazy for them not to get the flu jab, which is complete. Why wouldn't you get it's just a... Like, I understand there was one guy in the Essendon scandal that time with the doping and stuff. There was Zaharakis, who he didn't like injections, didn't need the injection, wasn't a flu jab, it was ended up being a performance-enhancing drug. The players should know this already, they shouldn't take it if they know. Yeah, so he said, I'm not taking it. It was already a thing with the club that if he didn't need it, he wouldn't take it. There was another player with a similar sort of thing. That's why those two players could keep playing on, after when everyone else had a year suspension because they were breaking the rules. They were taking performance-enhancing drugs. So yeah, there's situations where yes, if you don't like needles and it's not necessary, you don't need to take it. But taking a flu shot, especially now, it is so necessary. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. That's all for today though. If you want to check that out, as I said, description with any other of my stories, in this video, go down the description. There will be links to whatever I'm looking at, whatever the tab is, the articles I'm looking at. Some of them have multiple, some of them have one. Been JDS. Thanks, bye. See you next time. See ya.